Hello, this is Photography Gamer. Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm reviewing Speedball 2 Brutal Deluxe via DOSBox. The game was originally released in 1990 for the Amiga. Speedball 2 Brutal Deluxe is a violent, futuristic cyberpunk sports game developed by the Bitmap brothers. Speedball draws elements from handball and ice hockey, rewarding players not only for scoring goals but for extreme violence as well. In 2095, the inaugural Speedball League failed due to violence and corruption, and with this reign of anarchy the game was forced underground. Several years later, in 2105, Speedball 2 is born. So what is the game like to play? Well, control-wise it's a very basic game with 4 buttons for movement and 1 button used to throw the ball or tackle an opponent. The thing that makes Speedball 2 exhilarating is the fact there are no breaks in the action. The game continues until a team scores, a player gets injured, or the half is over. The two teams are made up of 9 players each, with a goalkeeper, 2 wide defenders, 3 midfielders, 2 wingers and 1 centre forward. To score a goal, players need to throw the metal ball into the opponent's goal, which results in 10 points. But there are many other ways you can accumulate points in the arena. If you injure an opponent, you'll be rewarded with 10 points. Bounce domes are placed in the centre, and throwing the ball into them will reward you with 2 points. Another 2 points can be gained by throwing the ball into stars on the side walls of the arena, and if you fill up all of your designated stars you'll get a 10-point bonus. There is a score multiplier bell, with every time you throwing the ball into the bell giving you 100% increase in your future scoring. There are electro bounce outlets that will electrify the ball, meaning you can throw it at enemy players and they won't be able to catch it, so it's an easy way of knocking the ball into the net through the goalkeeper. And finally you've got warp gates. They don't affect the score, but they are a good way of switching the play from one side of the arena to the other. Also, it's worth pointing out there aren't any referees, so no fouls, which basically means it's a complete free-for-all, resulting in very physical and unforgiving matches. There are also power-ups strewn throughout the arena that grant buffs, special abilities for a time, or even currency to spend on your roster. In terms of game modes, there is Knockout, Cup, Practice and League mode. League mode has a nice management feature as well if you don't want to actually play the matches. For me, Speedball 2 really comes into its own in League mode. You take control of Brutal Deluxe, the new team on the block, and you're tasked with rising them through the ranks to the top leagues to take home the crown. However, League mode, it can be quite daunting at first, as your starting lineup is quite frankly appalling. Meaning you're going to have to suck up a few heavy defeats in the early going. But as you acquire currency, you can spend this in a variety of ways. You can go to the gym and improve your existing roster of useless players. Spend money on their strength, speed or throwing power, for example. You can improve them individually or collectively, focusing on one area such as the defense. But if you really want to make big strides in League mode, then it's the transfer market that's the place to go. Here you're going to find some true superstar talents that will be a real game changer for your Brutal Deluxe squad. And once you've signed 1 or 2 of these beasts, you'll really notice the difference. Players with extreme pace, brute force or really great throwing power can turn your team from a group of idiots to potential title contenders. And this is where Speedball 2 truly excels. Once you assemble a great team, the game is so much more enjoyable. The pace of the games goes up, the violence levels go through the roof, and when you're competing at the top table, matches are exhilarating as you face off against teams like Violent Desire, Steel Fury, Rage 2000 and Fatal Justice. Finally, on gameplay, one gripe is that this is a DOSBox game and playing with keyboard controls is not the best. You can remap using DOSBox, but it does have its limitations, and the game is really at its best with a joystick or analog stick, and it can be a problematic thing to map the controls to those things in terms of getting diagonal movements sorted. But if you're okay playing with a keyboard only, then it's not an issue. Graphically, despite its age, it still looks pretty good. For me, it's the dystopian art style that really stuck in my mind when I first played the game. The harsh metallic arenas, the sturdy armor, and the interesting arena design all add to the visual experience. Sound-wise, yes, it's a little bit limited with minimal sound effects, but the ones featured are well suited, whether it be the ice cream seller shouting during replays, the arena announcers shouting "replay," or just the sound of the never-ending violence. Okay, what's good and what's bad? What's good? The game is fast-paced, violent, and one of the most entertaining sports games of all time. It's a very simple premise with limited rules and almost no stoppages in the action. The art style is superb, the arena design is clever and full of features that make matches more than just who can score more goals than the other team. The league mode is a proper challenge, and the team evolution, progression and transfer market make it feel like a proper sports sim. What's bad? No uniform variation or arena variation is disappointing, control mapping into a joystick or controller is a little problematic, the auto change player function is not very helpful, and getting a game over screen in league mode if you don't get promoted at the first time of asking is a bit annoying. So what's the verdict? Speedball 2 Brutal Deluxe is one of the best sports games of all time. It has a simple premise, fast and addictive gameplay, and a refreshing fluidity that most sports games can't compete with. Plus, due to the depth of league mode, it has real longevity and replay value, and it's one of the most rewarding games I played back in the day. Whether it's the clever and varied arena design, the bleak art style, or the high-octane matches, all these features stay with you long after you finish the game, and even now, 30 years after its initial release, it's still a wonderful game. You know, I remember when I was a kid, I absolutely loved this game. My best friend had an Amiga, and I really fondly remember going to his house after school to play Speedball 2 for hours on end. In particular the league mode, which has such an addictive and subtly rewarding style as you slowly watch your team of misfits evolve into a devastating powerhouse. I loved it back then, but I was a bit worried about revisiting it for this review, but it has lost none of its charm or quality. Honestly, if I had the money and a team of devs to help me make it, I'd buy the rights and turn this into a modern day classic it's crying out to become. It's so perfect for a reboot, and I hope one day we get to see this little gem return in Speedball 3 because it could be an absolute classic. So my score for Speedball 2 Brutal Deluxe is 9 out of 10. Okay, that's the review. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. This is Photography Gamer signing off. Thank you.